Grux. This man gives absolutely no fucks, and with this build you should be able to rack up some kills in the early to mid game and help your team secure the victory. Grux is a fighter hero, but because he often takes quite a few hits before reaching his target, I like to build some armor for the late game. The idea is to allow Grux to shine in the early to mid game with his damage and then support his team, but mostly his carries, with some fantastic pulls and stuns towards the late game by adding in some armor. Couple of tips. You can use your ultimate to interrupt any ability since it applies a stun. So if Gideon's ulting, then you can just pop your ult and it will interrupt his ult. Try to use your smash and grab ability by anticipating where the enemy might be heading to rather than where they are now. And remember that his double chop, his right click ability, does a lot of damage, so try to save this for enemy heroes as it also applies a stack of bleed. As always, let's take a quick look at the build before we move on to the guide itself. Now, I often say that your build should be flexible, and my Grux one is exactly that. In fact, we have 3 decks that we have to cover. Now, they're pretty much 90% identical, but I'll talk about the differences shortly. You want to of course start with the Warlord as your prime card, obviously because of the damage increase. We then have a health potion and double strike token for that early game damage. Then you want 2 Flashfire Pistons, both with 2 minor strikes and 2 minor kinetics. I know quite a lot of you won't have these many minor cards, so you can use strikes and kinetics instead and cut back in various other areas. I then have a third Flashfire Piston. Again, some of you might not have this many Flashfire Pistons, so you could always replace it with a Windcarver blade and change a major kinetic into just a kinetic. A Stalker's key because we will be jungling, and so we need to get harvesters for our team. Remember, harvesters are a crucial part of jungling. We also get Stalker's key because the passive means that we're always at pretty much full health while we jungle. You can take Beastmaster's key if you have it, but I don't because of RNG. Next we have our Rust Breaker with 3 strikes, a tempered plate with 3 guards, and a tuned barrier with 3 barriers. Now our 2 armor items are for the late game. Since the new patch, we don't have to worry too much about carries early to mid game, and so these cards are usually the last ones I get. We then have our Windcarver blade with 3 major strikes and a Thirstfang with 3 drains. I think the extra lifesteal helps, but it's early days into the latest patch, so if you feel like this doesn't work for you, feel free to switch it out. I have found that it helps me out quite a bit though. Now before we get into the guide, I want to show you my other 2 builds. Now therefore when the enemy team have only an energy type carry or a physical type carry, while this build that we just looked at is for both. You can see that I've taken out the tuned barrier, left the tempered plate in, but added a Windcarver blade with 2 strikes and a kinetic. There's no point building armor types if you don't need it, and the extra damage will help you out loads. I've done the same for energy armor. This is why I have 3 Grux decks. 1 for physical, 1 for energy, and 1 for both damage types. Now I've really put this build through its paces, and I'm not just saying that because it's my build. I've seen it absolutely destroy early to mid and even in the late game. I found myself far ahead of the enemy team in most matches, and it's down to the way we curve the build out and how we use the build to its advantage. We don't want to waste time building expensive cards, we want to build as many cards, maxing out as many upgrades as possible to give us that advantage. We start with a health potion and a double strike token. This allows you to farm the jungle to 3 card points comfortably. Once you hit that 3 card points, you want to go back for your Stalker's key. This should be around the 3-minute time, and this will allow you to hit that harvester timing perfectly. Like I mentioned, your role is to jungle, and getting harvesters for your team is a major part of that role. Stalker's key also allows you to keep your health near full while farming the jungle. So often I'll find I'm in the jungle and the enemy team will try and invade my jungle. The problem here is that a lot of players will be farming the jungle and they'll think they're safe without having to worry about their health. Their health will be on half health, so they won't be able to defend themselves if the enemy team enter the jungle. But if you're at full health, you have time for your team to come and help you out. Being at half health gives your team no chance to react, so I like Stalker's key for this exact reason. Pick up your first Flashfire Piston with 3 minor cards once you have 6 card points and max that out completely. You can then sell one of your strike tokens for your next Flashfire Piston, also with 3 minor cards. This will give you a huge amount of early game damage. Your next card is your Rust Breaker. This is very important. Every hero in Paragon now gets some base armor resistance, and having that Rust Breaker allows you to hit through this since it gives you physical penetration, so definitely grab your Rust Breaker and max that out next. Next I go for my Flashfire Piston with a major Kinetic. I sell my health potion and then add another major Kinetic. You might think I'm crazy selling my health potion, but remember we have a Stalker's key. We can simply go into the jungle, where we spend most of our time anyways, hit some minions and regen our health, so we'll be absolutely fine without a health potion. Max out your Flashfire Piston and move on to that Windcarver blade for even more destruction. Throw in the 3 major strikes into that and you're ready to start discarding some of your cards. Do not discard the wrong cards. If you do, hit undo for the love of God, save yourself the embarrassment. Discard one of your 5 cost Flashfire Pistons. Now I'm saying this slowly so you don't discard the wrong Flashfire Piston. Discard one of your 5 cost Flashfire Pistons and throw in your Thirstfang, completing that as soon as possible for that lifesteal bonus. Sell your second 5 cost Flashfire Piston and Stalker's Key. Throw in your armor cards now. Remember, equip the armor card for the most dangerous carry first, unless you have points to max both of them out like I did. Now I'm saying this slowly, not because I think you're an idiot, but because I'm an idiot and I've done the exact thing that I'm telling you not to do, so please don't do this. I don't really like showing this too much because I feel like it's bragging, but if we take a look at the leaderboard, you can see I'm 15 card points ahead of their highest carry and 21 card points ahead of their casters, so a huge lead, and that's all thanks to those early cheap Flashfire Pistons. But let me show you how exactly I got so far ahead. Firstly, farm the jungle, because that thing is quite literally a gold mine. The jungle offers so much experience that I guarantee you'll find yourself ahead if you farm it properly. Take a look at my jungling guide here if you're not sure how. Secondly, it's all well and good getting ahead, but you really need to use that to your advantage. Gank enemy heroes when possible, or even take fights whenever you think you can win. And make sure you use your kit to your advantage. Grux's ult has a stun, so I use it to stun Sevrog under my tower, then I pull him right back under it and he goes down. In this situation I didn't really use my ult for the damage increase, I used it purely because it applied a stun and Sevrog would be rooted under the tower. Hopefully me showing you this will allow you to incorporate this into your gameplay. Normally defending a tower against a Howitzer and Sevrog would be difficult just because of the range of Howitzer, but it's really only as difficult as you make it. My team decided to deposit the Ore Prime and I want to show you just how much survivability we have as well as damage. I take damage from Sevrog, Howitzer and Gideon without falling below 3/4 of my health, and I absolutely shred them to pieces with help from my team. And if you're still asking the question, do I really need armor and lifesteal? Then the answer is yes. I'm defending our inhibitor against Twinblast, who is also close to 60 card points, but my armor means he doesn't hurt me that much, and with my lifesteal I'm able to regain health from the minions. I wait until Gideon comes in and then I pounce. It's important that you try not to 1v1 your own inhibitor. If you die, you may lose an inhibitor and maybe the game. The smart move is to play it safe and wait until help arrives, no matter how good you think you are. As far as abilities go for Grux, I like to focus his double chop almost always. It really does take a chunk of damage out of heroes, so that is the priority after his ultimate. I then alternate between smash and grab and his charge, but it's really your own preference here. Definitely focus his double chop though. I showed this clip earlier and I wanted you to see it again so that you could see exactly what I did here. Grux was about to kill my Sparrow, but I pulled him away. I could have charged in and killed him, but I elected to save my Sparrow and we still managed to get the kill. Isolating targets is another great feature of Grux's kit. If you can pull one person out of position and pick them off, you've already given your team a numbers advantage. So make sure you're looking out for that smash and grab opportunity, especially if the enemy hero heroes are sitting under a tower. And that's all really. So to summarize, focus on farming the jungle and getting ahead. Gank enemy heroes to push them further behind and help extend your lead. Use your ultimate on as many heroes as possible, so when you use your ult, make sure a lot of heroes are within the radius, and help soak up some damage for your carries in the late game. Remember, Grux has a great way of initiation with his smash and grab and charging forward, but his charge is also great for escaping, so don't be afraid to engage and don't be afraid to retreat when it doesn't look like you're gonna win the fight. As always, if you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, a few of you wanted me to post full gameplay, so let me know which hero you'd like to see first. Smash that thumbs up button if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon.